Hey, hello to today's viewers. Look at the car I've got to show you today. This, my friends, is a 1971 E-Type, Jaguar's nearly transition model as they were going to V12s. This is the last of the 6 cylinders. The 71, some say, is the most agreeable to drive, the most ergonomic and reliable. The 71 had a whole bunch of different types of updates that made them very saleable, like air conditioning was quite common, power steering, and those gorgeous spoked wheels. Now, I put the red stripe tires on it. Personal preference of mine. Take a look at this signal red with biscuit. That wood steering wheel. The underdash air, as I had mentioned earlier. All of that stuff is very good. These cars are an absolute pleasure to drive, because so many people recognize them and really enjoy seeing them. I really enjoy driving it because I started with MGs, and this car, being slightly related to the MG, brings back some memories of British cars for me. This was a 3-year restoration, and I covered all the bases, front to back, top to bottom. It's got a tan soft top and a black hard top. Would you like to see under the hood where the engine is? It's an interesting way that Jaguar made it so you could get into the hood. Let me show you here. We've got these chrome units that get turned and pulled. Let me go over to the other side. Look at that wraparound chrome bumper. These cars are so sexy. All right, turn and pull. Now let's take a look at that engine. Now these engines, this happens to be 4.2 liters. Let me open that up. And you can see it's a feast for the senses. I've updated with an aluminum radiator, and I've given it late model air conditioning. However, it's all done to factory spec, just modernized. That engine was actually a British Army tank engine. That's what they started life as, or at least a derivative of. How do you like that? And it's torquey. Lots of torque, because that straight 6 offers that, but really low RPM. Take a look at that tachometer and see that the red line is at 5,000 RPM. Look at those switches on the dash. This car is fun to drive, and you know that in my collection, fun to drive is super important. So why don't we take it for a drive? They're doing some harvesting out here in the corn where I live, but I tell you what, we'll go ahead and take it for a quick spin and see what you think. Okay, so how do you start a 1971 E-Type? Well, first, you start with a seatbelt. Let's get that on. Shut the door. And there's a choke on the dash, and it's got 3 settings. You can pull it all the way out for when it's cold, medium for if it's been run around the block or so, or all the way down for when you're running. And you take a look through the wood wheel, and you go down to the ignition key, and you turn that over until you hear the fuel pumps tick, tick, tick. I hear them now, tick, tick, tick. and they're filling the bowls, if you can say that, since it's carbureted. These are Strongberg carburetors, or some people call them Strangleberg carburetors, because they were more of an emissions device than a performance device, but I like them. Get some sunglasses. Carburetors are set. Fire it up. Just that simple. So I take a look at the dash, and it gives me battery voltage, it gives me oil pressure, there's a big clock, and oftentimes people say, does the clock work? Because these clocks are finicky. And yep, the clock works, at least in mine it does. Water temperature right now is low, and fuel, we're down a little bit on fuel, so we've got a warning light on the dash reminding me of that. But we should be okay for our quick little drive. And speaking of quick little drive, let's do it. So put her into first and off we go. Oh, it's got a great exhaust note. When I did the restoration on this car, I chose a exhaust system that was stainless, and it was called Big Mouth. The Big Mouth exhaust system. So it sounds pretty cool. I really like it. I remember this is a low RPM engine, so you won't see me revving it very far, or at least in my estimation, a high rev like my Porsches or maybe even the Ferrari is much different than this Jaguar with its straight six, that Army tractor straight six, 4.2 liter. All right, up we go. We're gonna go up a hill, drop down to second and give it a little goose. I think I've mentioned multiple times that the road that I drive on here is really better suited for agriculture. So with them harvesting, we'll see things like that. And combines and pickup trucks and guys in flannel shirts. Okay, we're driving along. Again, as I had mentioned, I really enjoy driving this car because it was a really long process to restore it, and now that it's restored, it's just become a pleasure. Now I've got the top down, so we're bound to hear some extra noises. I won't turn the air conditioning on. It wouldn't be that effective with the top down. But like I had mentioned, it is optioned really well with air conditioning and power steering. Some say the power steering is not necessary, and that's probably true. But again, by 71, they were attracting the doctors and lawyers that started to take a lot of high interest in these cars before the V12s came out, and they just wanted them to be extremely well equipped. Here we go. It's got a 4-speed gearbox, inboard rear disc brakes, normal disc brakes up front. But what I mean by inboard is they've set the brake rotors and calipers are inboard, they're not out by the wheel. And what Jaguar was doing is they were trying to get rid of unsprung weight. Unsprung weight actually is a contributing factor to less than optimal handling, and Jaguar was very interested in optimal handling. Hope this camera's not shaking too much for you. Forgot about that. This is a sports car, and the suspension is taut. This is really great. I mean, how do you beat this? 68-degree day, absolutely the lightest of overcast, beautiful blue skies in your Jaguar E-Type. At some point they were calling them XKEs in the USA, but it was never formally called an XKE. But you can call it whatever you want. I call it awesome. Here we go. It is such a cruiser. And gorgeous. So here we are running an indicated, it looks like indicated 70 miles per hour. And it's just as luxurious as a British convertible comes. The E-Type, the XKE, absolutely an epic vehicle. We're getting tucked in behind a little bit of traffic, but it's okay, because you don't have to be in a hurry when you're in an E-Type. We're going to take a turn up here. That large, what would I call it, agricultural truck that we passed is quite literally sitting at the turn we're going to take. How do you like that? Here we go. Lots more traffic today than we would think. Oh, this is nice. They've got good horsepower and good torque. We've spoken about the torque. And again, they've got a great exhaust note, a beautiful shape. They are respected in the automotive community. They're an excellent investment. They're actually artwork. The E-Type is artwork. And I have told my son, when it comes to collector cars, you cannot lose if you collect the artwork cars, because they will never lose value. Is that there's always going to be somebody who wants it in their collection, being that it's artwork. I see this car as artwork. I also see this car is absolutely smashing. Here we go. Around the corner. Very pleasant. Up to the estate. And in we go. The Jaguar E-Type. It's so pleasant, so attractive, damn right sexy. And I just think that it's the kind of car that you would want to see in your driveway too. Consider one, because they're not going to get any cheaper.